This is a real-life horror story. So if you think you can handle the truth, stay until the end. Can an 11-year-old girl become a cold-blooded killer? Mary didn't play with dolls like other children. She was busy with something else. Something much darker. Back in the 1950s, in the working-class neighborhood of Scotswood in Newcastle, England, there lived a woman who would give anything to get out of that town. Her name was Betty. To escape her boring life, she got herself a job as a dancer at a local pub. There she met men who were willing to pay her for her company and took her to seedy motels outside of town. When she came back home, she was always loaded with cigarettes, sweets and toys. She showered her daughter Mary with gifts. But even they couldn't conceal the fact that their apartment smelled like stale waste and stale urine. Mary Flora Bell was born in 1957 and was named after her maternal grandmother, Mary Bell. Mary Sr. was a prostitute, which is why little Mary grew up with clients visiting her mom, groping her and smoking in her face. It goes without saying that growing up in such a household was traumatic. But it gets worse. You see, Mary's mother soon found out that she was pregnant again, so she decided to leave Mary with her grandma. From then on, little Mary called her grandmother Mom, and her biological mother became just Betty. When Mary was only 5 years old, her mother moved to a new partner, which meant Mary had to change schools. But her new classmates didn't welcome her warmly and she became the target of bullies. One day, Mary climbed onto a table and tried to hang herself with her school scarf. She wanted to put an end to it all because she didn't feel like living anymore. Luckily, her teacher found her just in the nick of time. Later, the school psychologist concluded that Mary was mentally disturbed. What she needed was help, not punishment. So instead of giving her a hard time, her teachers showed compassion and support. Unfortunately, the same couldn't be said about her own parents. They treated Mary like a burden and often left her locked in a room without food or water. "I felt abandoned and unloved," Mary said in an interview years later. "No one cared about me. So I figured no one would care if I disappeared," and she was right. One Saturday afternoon in May of 1968, 4-year-old Martin Brown was playing with his dog near an abandoned house on Wheatfield Terrace. All of a sudden, he felt a sharp pain in his neck and fell to the ground. He looked back and saw a strange girl running away. Martin tried to stand up, but his legs gave out and he blacked out. A neighbor noticed that the boy didn't come home for dinner. So she went to look for him. That's when she found his lifeless body lying in the bushes. The police arrived quickly and started asking questions. Who was that girl? Who could have hurt the poor boy? No one had a clue. For a while, it looked like the case would go nowhere. 3 days later, officers found a torn piece of paper nearby that contained a message. "I am the killer. I strangled him with my hands. I also want to kill a little girl. I will do it again." The police assumed that it was just some sick teenager trying to scare them off. They didn't take the threat seriously and continued the investigation. Little did they know that they were dealing with someone way more dangerous than they imagined. Meanwhile, Mary was acting like nothing had happened. She went to school, talked with friends and played hopscotch. However, according to her teachers, she seemed distracted and unable to focus on her work. She would stare into space and write creepy things on her homework, like strangled by my hands or lying dead in the street, but still, no one paid much attention to these red flags. The police, on the other hand, were desperate to find the killer. So they started knocking on every door in the neighborhood, hoping to find the mysterious girl from the note. As it turned out, several witnesses had seen Mary with Martin shortly before he was killed. They described the girl who had grabbed the boy by the neck and pushed him off the bridge. But they couldn't recognize who it was. So the police decided to bring Mary in for questioning. After they read her rights, they asked her if she knew anything about Martin's death. "Nothing," she replied, shaking her head. Then the police brought her to a separate room and asked her to draw a picture of how she spent Saturday. "Like this," Mary said, showing the officers a drawing of a man hanging upside down from a tree. Everyone in the room gasped. Was this girl a psychopath? An evil omen? Things started to unravel. One of the officers knew Mary personally since he used to attend her father's boxing club. He invited her for a cup of tea and asked her to show him where she was on the day of the murder. But instead of denying everything, Mary confessed. She told the officer about how she lured the boy to the bridge, strangled him, and watched him die. I don't know why I did it, she said, crying. But it was fun. This was exactly what the police had been looking for. They took Mary to the abandoned house where she had left Martin's body. Sure enough, they found the rest of the boy's clothes and a pair of his shoes. Mary had done it again. When the police questioned her, she confessed to everything. Apparently, she had killed Brian Howe in a similar way. According to Mary, she had been planning to kill someone ever since she saw that girl hanging from a tree in her drawing. She said she picked random victims, and the thrill of the hunt was the most important part for her. As for why she sent those mysterious letters to the police, she said she wanted to get caught. It sounds crazy, but in reality, Mary was just a confused kid who had no idea what she was doing. The news of her crimes shocked the whole nation. People were outraged that a girl so young could commit such horrific acts. Even Mary's mother and grandmother refused to believe that she was capable of murder. Therefore, they were shocked when she pleaded guilty to both charges. Many people thought that Mary should be locked up forever. But her lawyers argued that she needed professional help. In the end, the judge agreed and sentenced her to a youth detention center. At first, Mary behaved well in the detention center. She was quiet, polite, and obedient. But a few months later, she started causing problems. She fought with other girls and even threatened a staff member that she would kill them in their sleep. Therefore, after serving 6 years in the detention center, she was transferred to a women's prison, where she stayed for another 6 years. In 1980, she was finally released, but she wasn't free. Her freedom came at a price. The government exiled her and changed her identity so she wouldn't be recognized. No one knows where Mary is now, but she could be closer than you think. In 2013, a British documentary crew tried to track her down, but she had disappeared without a trace. We scoured the country looking for her, but it was no use, said filmmaker Daniel Gordon. It's amazing how someone who has committed such terrible crimes can vanish without a trace. Mary's case shows that sometimes society is to blame for creating monsters. She grew up in a cruel world and violence was the only thing she knew. It's hard to say if she's truly evil or if she just needed help. Now it's time to make a decision. Do you agree that people are born evil or is the world to blame? Let us know in the comments and remember to subscribe for more real-life dark stories. See you next time.